My first question is, what's so important about this comet?
Well, the comet itself, it's not always that we have a bright comet. And it's good to encourage, especially people, into astronomy. To give you an example, one of the countries which I really admire is Thailand. And they actually promote astronomy to the young people to get more people into the sciences, engineering, in a way to develop their country. And basically, that's why we promote public viewing of this comet to get people interested. And there's also a problem right now with a lot of people, very much ignorant with science, and they believe in a lot of crazy things, which is to the detriment also of our country.
Now, since you've mentioned it, how rare is it for a comet to get as bright as Suchinsan Atlas?
It's not always. I mean, probably we'll get a moderately bright comet once every 2 years. But for a very bright comet, probably once every 10 years.
One every 2 years.
For a moderately bright, not naked eye, but with a telescope. But for a naked eye comet, it's rather rare. Probably once every 10, sometimes even 20 years.
And the classification of the current comet is?
It's supposed to be a naked eye comet.
Naked eye bright eyes, right?
Is this kind of public viewing or public comet viewing something new in Philippine
No, we've been
academia?
doing this. In fact, I've been doing Comet Watch since 1990s when I was still a student. So whenever there was a bright comet or a moderately bright comet or any astronomical phenomenon like eclipses, we used to have activities in USC. So there we have a public viewing. We invite people or university students to observe these objects.
What about in a setting like this where the public can actively
this is one of the few times we did. Before we used to do it in Ayala. And right
nice.
now, the reason why we chose this place is because the comet this time is very low in the sky. So this was the only ideal place to see, which is publicly accessible. You can actually go anywhere there, but there's no transpo. It's also there's safety that's being considered. So this place is ideal to watch that comet.
Okay, so based off of that, what positive impacts do you foresee in the academe through this public viewing?
Well, it's not just with academe. One problem we have in our country is the ignorance of science and the fear of science, which is really a problem for us. And it shows, we need more engineers, scientists, research to basically uplift our country. We can't all be nurses or politicians,
Okay.
And that's not going to happen. One thing I learned about Thailand, I always go to Thailand because they invite me to give talks there. I'm involved with their government agency. And one thing they told me was that if you look at the statistics of Thailand, in 1998, during the Asian crisis, the Philippines and Thailand were more or less equal. During that time, they made a change. First of all, they got everybody to work. And secondly, they promoted science and engineering. So what's the statistics now of Thailand? The poverty rate is 1.4% compared to the Philippines. How much? Almost 20, 30? There it's 1.4%. Unemployment rate is less than 1%. So you have a country which in 15 to 20 years basically turned around. Despite their chaotic government, they basically made politics separate from their economy and their human development. That right now they're very much far away from us. And the first time I went to Thailand, which was about more than 15 years ago, I thought that they're like the Philippines, third world. I was shocked when I was there. I mean, it's almost first world, and that's what they have. And I think that's what we lack here in the Philippines. They have the same problem as we do in politics, but what they have is great economic development, which reduced the poverty rate of their people. And so this is something that we need here.
What is the next big thing in astronomy?
I'm not really sure right now because the comets, probably next year there's going to be a total lunar eclipse. And other than that, we'll just see, because comets come and go, and we never really know about comets until a few months or a few weeks before.
How you started with astronomy, sir?
Well, I started with astronomy when I was in high school. So during that time, there was Halley's Comet in 1986, 85, 86, during that time. So during that time, I didn't have any budget, so my mom bought me a binocular. So that's how I started, using a pair of binoculars, looking for the comet, and getting to know the night sky. I didn't get my first telescope until 5 years after, when I was, already working. So I slowly accumulated my stuff. So a lot of other people, they collect cars and these things. I just do astronomy. So that's my hobby. So that's basically how I started this hobby, and it was interesting. It's a fun hobby, and right now it's a hobby that made me contribute into science. So I'm more involved now with some NASA spacecraft like Juno. Before, I was involved with the Cassini spacecraft, which observed Saturn. So I was part of the team that basically support the spacecraft.
Unsa gani sir ang ibutang na mo sa imong credentials?
That's Kristoffer Go.
Kristoffer
I'm
Go,
just an ordinary guy.
Astronomer.
No, I'm not an astronomer. I'm just an ordinary guy. Just Kristoffer Go, amateur astronomer.
Astronomy professor.
Astronomy.
Instructor.
I don't know.
Yeah, actually, for teaching, I just started teaching now because I wanted to develop an astronomy course, basically improved astronomy course of USC, because I had some friends complaining and it didn't go very well. So we were able to get some new toys like the Sea Star, and hopefully later this year we can get Origin. So yeah, it's a step for people to get interested. A lot of amateur astronomers, some are doctors, some are postmen, they're priests, they're people from all walks of life, different hobby, lawyers. One of the top 3 neurosurgeons in the Philippines is an amateur astronomer, and he even had an asteroid named after him, Dr. Jet Aguilar. So ordinary people into astronomy. Okay. We need to get out of the more superstitious way of thinking. This is a problem here in the Philippines. Superstition, and because of this, why Janna bitaw mo trabaho harder. For a lot of us, just because something is difficult, they say, bahala na. This is the problem we have here. And one big problem which I really complain is we are too poor in the Philippines. Poor meaning we need to keep the poor poor. So this is the problem here in the Philippines. The politicians, it's all geared to keep the people poor. That's the difference from what happened in Thailand. And what the formula of Thailand is something that we need to do here to basically uplift everybody, to reduce the poverty level. Not just education, they got their people to work, everybody to work. Where does your shampoo come from? Your camera, where is it made? Your soap, Thailand. So juice, Thailand. So they opened themselves for business. Everybody got a job. So when everybody got a job, here it's encouraged for people not to work. Tagaan lag, ayuda. No, everybody works. People pay taxes. Then they started improving their education. That's how they do it. And also when people work, they learn skills. They self-educate, or they're educated by their work. Something that we lack here. The vision of, I'm sorry. I just want to, the politics here is really drives me crazy.
Feel free lang, sir.
Anyway, I think you know what's the problem here.
Yes.
Even in Thailand, they have this problem, but they were able to overcome. Bahala nang mag-away mga politician. The governments are so unstable, but deep down, the bottom line is very few poor people. You go to Thailand, you won't see beggars.
If I understand your tangent correctly, this is your way of telling us that even normal people can get into sciences.
Yeah. We have to remove that level of ignorance. That's the problem here in our country.
Okay.
And the thought that science is difficult. It's something that we shouldn't be doing, or gihadlok bitaw nga, math, lisod ka ng math. And, I had the same problem in high school. One time I thought, but there was once nga, I changed my mind. It's simple actually. I treat it simply. Then, it was a turnaround. It's the way you look at things. We're always told that when it comes to math, science, lisod. Psychologically, when it sinks in, lisod good. But they don't have that problem in Japan, in China, in Korea. They don't have that problem. They think, it's something simple. It's all in the mentality. It's all in the mind. And that's what you have to change in the mindset here in our country.
Going back to astronomy, sir, I think we've heard from earlier that there was was it asteroid, I think, named after you? Or
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, a friend of mine who works in the Catalina Sky Survey, the one that discovered the one that's the crashed in Luzon, the asteroid that crashed. They were also they're part of the Space Watch, so they search the skies for near-Earth asteroids, but they also discover main belts asteroids. So they named one asteroid after me. This is normally the namings of asteroids are done by the IAU, the International Astronomical Union. So this is a international agency that basically final arbiter of anything astronomy. I think a UN body. So IAU, it's based in Paris. So it was proposed, and basically for my discoveries on Jupiter, that asteroid 30100, was named after me. So if you can Google asteroid 30100, it's Kristoffer. Go.
I think that's everything.
Yeah, I think that will be all, sir. Thank you very much.
Sige. I need to go for dinner.
So my first question is, what's so important about this comet?
Well, it is one of the brightest comets in like half a century. If I remember correctly, the last time a comet was this bright was around 1980s. So a bit less than half a century, but still, either way, it is quite important, as we have seen comets before, but none in this brightness and none of this magnitude of coverage in the night sky and across the world. Even Halley's Comet, we haven't seen, even with Halley's Comet, it's quite hard to even get that bright. And most likely, even with Halley's Comet, we'll have to likely see it in our 2060s. So by then, we'll probably be in our retirement homes at this point.
How important is it for the public to be able to get involved?
Well, the public needs to get involved because it is quite a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity in a way, because you see a sunset, right?
Yeah.
It is beautiful, especially in the right location and the right time. And it is nice to see a sunset, but in reality, you see a sunset every day and a sunrise every day. So, but to see a comet is something you cannot see it every day. It's like a lone wanderer in the night sky suddenly popped into your view, and after that, and maybe after a few days, poof, gone. So yeah, it is something to behold, basically.
How do you experience this, as you call it, once-in-a-lifetime event as a student?
As a student, it is quite easy actually, considering that the brightness of this comet is visible throughout the entire night sky for the duration of this period. In a few days, you'll see it rise, because right now it just crossed the sun, so it's quite low in the night sky. But maybe perhaps 2 more days, you will see it a bit more in its glory. And you don't even need a binocular or a camera. You just need your own phone, and even with your own naked eye, you could even see it and behold in its spectacular glory.
How enlightening is it for you?
As a physics student whose main passion it was astronomy, it is something that I have been dreaming for a long time. I've watched a lot of videos about Halley's Comet. It was really fascinating, and it is quite sad when I realized at a young age that Halley's Comet was going to only appear when I'm going to be near my deathbed. So to hear that this comet is like in our night sky right now, it is something that the little child inside of me would be jumping up and down for like days upon days. It's a bit convoluted actually, the history of Fisok actually. Fisok and Astrosoc were once separate entities, but in a few years ago before the pandemic, Astrosoc actually had a crisis. Very few members joined because at that point the hype of and the novelty of astronomy died down. So by that point, the physics department was able to take it under its mantle, and Fisok was able to incorporate it with its astronomy mission. Right now we want to have more members, of course, but given the current state of our student population, as we don't know if there are a lot of people who are interested in becoming part of a astronomy organization in the first place, it is it is hard to get an organization like this running without fearing again that it might shut down in 2 years or even 1 year time. For an extracurricular org that's no longer tied to the department, it is a death sentence basically if you don't have the minimum amount of students as required by OSFA. There's a structure of FISOC. It's the president, the vice president, and then secretary, and then the AstroSoc section is a bit independent, but in a way it's
Is it
equal.
a sub-org?
It's kind of like a sub-org, isn't it, Vichuf?
Yeah, I guess yeah. You
Yeah.
can call it a sub-org.
I guess you could call it a sub-org basically, because in a way I act as my own boss, and the members of FISOC basically are all under members of AstroSoc are basically also members of FISOC in general.
What is the involvement of FISOC in this event?
So it started off with Kristoffer Go. So Kristoffer Go was the original founder of AstroSoc actually. So he, and along with other few friends from the chemistry department, joined forces in the 1970s, I think, to create AstroSoc, which was then an extracurricular org. So right now, he has a astronomy elective, to which he has a class with a few of members of Halangdon and other. Basically, Kristoffer Go had the idea of having a semi-combination activity for our SAPE to have a photography and stargazing session at TOPS. So it initially did not start off with TOPS. We wanted it to be near TOPS, but as the days progressed, we realized the value of having an event here at TOPS, as well as some of you guys can actually have noticed. It has a commanding 360-degree view of the night sky, and so it is quite a perfect opportunity for stargazers everywhere to at least enjoy stargazing here. And so Kristoffer Go reached out to TOPS, and in return he reached out to me, as AstroSoc chair. I normally visit his class every Tuesday, so we are normally in constant communication by then. So I was contacted by Kristoffer Go, and since I was the chairman of the AstroSoc section of FISOC, we started to gain the idea maybe we can actually have this alongside with the organization. And so one thing led to another. Crisco at one point during Monday morning called me and then said, "Hey, you want to go to TOPS with me on Friday?" I said, "Sure, why not?" That was after a very hard day, so I went to TOPS. It was raining hard, and so I met the heads of TOPS and it was quite nice. We were able to tour around the necessary areas where we want to conduct our stargazing event. And so one thing led to another, and then someone decided to have a flash interview here. And I think you could see it in TOPS Media Center. So led us to, well, right now we have a event here at TOPS from Saturday all the way to Tuesday, although I'm not being here on Tuesday.
Okay, so to be clear, AstroSoc is an extracurricular organization.
It used to be an extracurricular organization before it got merged with FISOC. So think of it like two organizations here. This is AstroSoc, this is FISOC. They used to exist separately as different organizations. Sooner or later, AstroSoc started to die off because of lack of members. FISOC saw this and then they said, hey, you know what? To save you, we'll merge with our own. So they two basically combined into one organization now, that is FISOC. But the full name is now called the USC Physics and Astronomy Society, or the Carolinian Physics and Astronomy Society. So it's still there, but the name is still FISOC in general.
The org is not open to every member.
Unfortunately, but we will see, because I've developed a plan. I have a plan of reviving AstroSoc to the USC public, to UC students, as I can already see there's some traction actually for having AstroSoc back into the general student body. So yeah, it might come like 2 years, 3 years, but it will really depend on how enthusiastic the student body of University of San Carlos can be.
Message to people of USC.
Hi everyone, this is a message from the Carolinian Physics and Astronomy Society. In a few months' time, we'll be having a lot more events from not just only in USC, but also outside of USC. So also, this is not just a message to students of University of San Carlos, but also a message to everyone in Cebu. We are open to having stargazing events in your location, just so long as it is probably not as busy or as light polluted as, well, in the metro location of Cebu. To students of University of San Carlos, you can always tell us if you want to have a stargazing event. We're always available in the Department of Physics. And to those outside of University of San Carlos, you can follow us through our Facebook page, USC Carolinian, USC Physics and Astronomy Society. So see you there, and ad astra prospera.